For nearly 3 decades, a brutal murder haunted a community in Minnesota. No suspect. No answers. And no peace for the family of Jeanie Childs. But in 2019, a seemingly insignificant item, a greasy napkin at a hockey game, cracked the case wide open. This is the story of how cutting-edge DNA technology and one careless mistake brought a killer to justice, after 27 years. In the shadows of forgotten files, lies the truth no one dared to uncover. Welcome to the Lost Chronicle Files. It was June 13, 1993. Jeanie Childs, 35 years old, was living in an apartment in the Stevens Square neighborhood of Minneapolis. Friends described her as lively, kind, and full of dreams for her future. That summer day, her life was violently stolen. She was found brutally murdered in her apartment. The crime scene was gruesome, evidence of a fierce struggle. The police were baffled. They had fingerprints, they had DNA, but no matches, no witnesses, and no clear suspect. Despite efforts by detectives, the case quickly went cold. Years passed. Leads dried up, and Jeanie's murder slowly faded into the shadows of Minneapolis history. Fast forward to 2015. The Minneapolis Police Cold Case Unit reopened Jeanie's file, hoping that advances in forensic science could succeed where 90s technology had failed. They reanalyzed the biological evidence recovered from the crime scene. And this time, they struck gold. The DNA was submitted to genealogical databases, similar to the methods used to catch the infamous Golden State Killer in California. Investigators constructed a family tree around the unknown DNA. Piece by piece, relative by relative, they traced the unknown killer's lineage, and in 2019, they had a name, Jerry Westrom. But they needed one more thing, a direct DNA sample from Jerry Westrom to confirm their theory. And that's when fate stepped in. Westrom attended a hockey game in Minneapolis. Undercover detectives followed him, watching closely. As Westrom sat eating pizza, he wiped his mouth with a napkin, and then threw it in the trash. Detectives retrieved the napkin, rushed it to the lab, and soon after, it was confirmed, DNA from the pizza napkin matched the DNA found at the 1993 crime scene. After 27 years, they finally had him. But who was Jerry Westrom before this moment of truth? To the outside world, he was a seemingly ordinary businessman from Isanti County, Minnesota. Married. Father. Owner of an HVAC business. Active in local community events. To his neighbors, he was just another regular guy living a quiet, suburban life. But DNA doesn't lie. Behind that family man facade was a dark secret buried for decades. The connection between Westrom and Jeanie? Unknown. Investigators believe he may have encountered her through the sex trade in Minneapolis, a theory that tragically aligns with the vulnerability Jeanie faced in her life. Westrom didn't go quietly. His defense lawyers fought back, challenging the DNA evidence, questioning police procedure, and suggesting that contamination or mistakes could have led to a false identification. But the prosecution had one devastating fact on their side: the DNA found at the brutal murder scene didn't just match Jerry Westrom, it was his, with overwhelming certainty. Witnesses testified. Experts explained DNA genealogy in detail. And slowly, piece by piece, the image of Jerry Westrom shifted, from businessman to murderer in the eyes of the jury. Westrom was arrested, charged, and eventually stood trial. He pleaded not guilty, claiming he had no involvement in Jeannie's death. But the DNA evidence was overwhelming. In 2022, a jury found him guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. After nearly 3 decades, Jeanie Childs' family finally received justice. And the case became yet another example of how modern DNA techniques are breathing new life into unsolved murders across the country. One napkin. One careless moment. That's all it took to bring a murderer to justice after 27 years. Imagine how many more unsolved cases could be cracked with these new tools. If you want to hear more cold cases solved by groundbreaking technology, hit subscribe and join me here on Lost Chronicle Files for more stories like this. What do you think about using genealogical DNA to solve crimes? Let me know in the comments.